If you have anxiety, what would you do if I told you there's some little things that you can do that would make a really big difference? And that's what I want to talk about today. Now, I've already put a wonderful breathing exercise up on my YouTube channel for anxiety. And if you haven't seen it, I urge you to find it, because that breathing was one of the most important tools I used to really overcome the anxiety I was experiencing. Record it, as I say on there, so that you have it on your phone. Do it first thing in the morning, last thing at night. It's absolutely amazing. So do check it out. Do it every day, every single day. Now, sometimes when people are very, very anxious, or they're having a panic attack or something like that, they can't breathe, because the breathing will trigger anxiety. And that's a great shame, because breathing usually is going to calm your system down. But that does happen to people, and it happens quite a lot. So what do you do in that circumstance? I would say just try and slow your breathing down, because when people are very anxious, they tend to hyperventilate and breathe very shallowly, and that's going to make you feel more anxious. So just try and slow it down. And then a mindful trick is, if you're in that space where you can't even breathe, I would say use that thing where you become aware of your surroundings. So you start by naming 5 things around you that are a certain color, or 5 things around you that can move, or 5 things around you that you love. Just choose it. But whatever it is, it's going to take your brain away from focusing on yourself and your triggers. And then name 5 things that you can hear, and then 5 things that you can smell. And that is a very simple exercise, but it does work, because it will take the focus away. So that's a good thing to do. And if you are panicking when you're breathing, keep going back to the breathing exercises, because one day you might be able to do it. So slow your breathing down. If you manage to slow your breathing down, just try and take some deep breaths and see how that goes. But if you don't have that, for sure, the number one thing you should do if you have anxiety is try the breathing exercise. The other thing is caffeine. Did you know that caffeine can make anxiety worse? And I sort of knew it, but I didn't really take any heed of it. And I was having coffee every day and tea every day. And then one day I just decided to switch to decaf coffee, because the caffeine in coffee is much stronger than the caffeine in tea. And funnily enough, the caffeine in tea, and I mostly drink green tea, which has low levels of caffeine, but doesn't bother me at all. But I found that I was definitely feeling jittery. I was feeling unsettled every time I had coffee. So I just cut it out. And well, as I said, I went to decaf. And I did that for quite a long time, for a good year, maybe even 2 years. It felt like 2 years. It might have been a much shorter time. But it made a huge difference. Huge difference. The other thing that can really make a difference and trigger anxiety is alcohol. I know, it's a strange thing, because if you have a little bit of stress, if you're just a little bit stressed and you have a nice glass of wine, it is actually going to relax you, make you feel good, help you sleep. But unfortunately, that isn't always the case. And if you are quite anxious or very stressed, that alcohol, and even a small amount, even one little glass, can make you feel worse. With me, what I was finding was I would have just a glass of wine and it would feel quite good. It would feel great at the time. But when I got into bed, suddenly I could feel the acid of the wine in my stomach, and I would get this horrible feeling, and then it began to trigger anxiety. And it was quite upsetting, because I really liked my glass of wine. I just couldn't believe it was happening. And it got to a point where I couldn't drink at all, because I think I got it in my head that it was triggering anxiety. And it became a very powerful trigger for me, which was deeply, deeply upsetting. I thought, no, not my wine. I've got to have my glass of wine. But anyway, it didn't work. And I did give up alcohol for a while. And then I'd think, oh no, I'm much better. And then I'd have a glass and then deeply regret it. Anyway, I did all these things, and now I can drink alcohol with absolutely no problem, and I can also drink coffee with no problem. So all these little things add up. Meditation's another good thing. And if you're not used to meditating, I mean, you might be a very experienced meditator, in which case just go ahead. And meditation is a discipline. So you need to do it every day to really reap the benefit. And they've done lots of research in meditation, and it has very profound effects on the brain. And people who meditate have a more youthful, dense brain. It's absolutely amazing. I used to meditate a lot, and I'd got out of the habit. So what I did was I downloaded Headspace, which is an app. And my goodness, even if you've never meditated before, it makes it so easy, because you can set it for 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And honestly, 3 minutes is a lot better than nothing. You can do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, however long you want. I just went for 10 minutes, and I started meditating every day. So I'd start my day while I was still in bed, before I'd even got up. I would do the breathing exercise, then I'd do a 10-minute meditation every single day. And I would use the breathing as I needed it through the day, and it was very, very effective before I went to bed at night. Would just put me to sleep. So, breathing, caffeine, alcohol, meditation, exercise. Now, I've always exercised, but I think I would have been a lot worse without the exercise. We all know that exercise releases endorphins, and physical activity is a great way to go. It's going to do so much good for you. And even if it's just a walk in the park, a brisk walk in the park, whatever, but just have a point in your day where you're moving. And then last, but absolutely not least, I had put all these things into practice. And they'd really worked well for me. And I'd got my anxiety right down to an extremely manageable level. And then I was on the internet and I read about something called albizia, which is a herb from China and Asia, and it's also known as the happiness herb. And I read about it and thought I'd try it, because I had tried CBD, and CBD really works for some people. But for me, it made me so tired, I felt like a zombie. I couldn't function. It just had a really weird effect on me, so it didn't work for me. But, it might work for you, because it does work for a lot of people, so a lot of people swear by it. There are also the adaptogen herbs, like ashwagandha. And ashwagandha, I know people who've had a very positive effect from ashwagandha. But it doesn't work for everybody, and sadly, I was one of the people it didn't work for. So when I read about albizia, I set about trying to find it. Couldn't find it here, so I had to get it from the States. I had to ship it over, pay customs, so that wasn't ideal. But I began to take it, and within a couple of weeks, I felt my stress levels go down. It wasn't profound, but I just felt a difference. Then a few more weeks went by, and I felt pretty good. A few more weeks went by, my stress levels were right down, my anxiety levels were right down. Then I felt the surge of happiness, and I thought, well, I see why they're calling this the happiness herb. And albizia is known to be particularly good for anxiety, but also depression, stress, and insomnia, and actually a load of other health things. I mean, this is a very good supplement. So I was absolutely determined to find it in this country, and I thought, I've got to get this onto the Ageless website, and I need to find a supply for myself as well. So I searched and searched and searched. I spoke to doctors, I spoke to homeopaths, I spoke to nutritionists. Nobody had heard of it. And eventually, through a practitioner, she said, oh, I think I know somebody who stocks it. So I found it. Hooray! I put it on the website. It's on the Glynis Love section, where I have some all products that I use, some of my favorite products that I've managed to negotiate a discount on. So not only is it there, but you can also get a discount. And so my experience, as we're all different, so your experience may be different, but what I have found on this is that the longer I used it, the better it got. And I also went back to the manufacturers, which also wasn't easy, to find out if you could stay on it long term, and you can. I tried coming off it a little while ago, and I went, no, I definitely feel better on it. So whatever this stuff is, it really agrees with me. And if you do try it out, I would love to know how you react to it. But I think it's amazing. So this little collection of things is what I've done, and it has absolutely transformed my stress levels and my anxiety, which doesn't really exist anymore. And I can't tell you how happy I am about that. I feel, and continuing to get better. I've been on the Albizia probably coming up to a year now. And I think I can, it's hard to know exactly where the improvement is coming, but I feel so much more confident about myself in terms of my anxiety now. And, I just go to bed at night, I turn off the light, go to sleep within seconds. So my sleep is really good. And I really hope this is what has worked for me. So I hope that it's of use to you. I hope that if you do suffer from anxiety, you can try some or all of this and see how it works for you. And let me know how it goes.